If you enjoy listening to inspirational stories from people just like us, facing the fear and doing it anyway, then you're in the right place. My name is Claire Hill, and this is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Oh, welcome to another episode of No Rest for the Vivid podcast. My name is Claire Hill. I'm the founder of the Vivid Club membership and the host of this podcast. Today I have Natalie Binns back. Natalie is an absolute expert in how to be more sustainable, not only as an individual, but also in your business. And today we talk about how you can be more sustainable in your business. And we discuss things that literally blew my mind. If you found this episode at all interesting, please send Natalie a message. Her details are in the show notes just to share the value of what she's offered in this episode. It's amazing. And also share it. Tell your friends about it because it's a proper beaut of an episode. Enjoy. Hi, Natalie. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you for having me. Great to be back.
Oh, so happy to have you back. I'll let you do another intro in a minute, just in case people are just discovering it. But your last episode with us, which was published back in November, I think, really amazing impact. Like people in my membership, in the Vivid Club membership, really enjoyed listening to it, and they changed things in how they are about being sustainable.
That's amazing.
And for the interview, I'm wearing my favourite find on Vinted second-hand shirt.
I love that. I love it when people actually take it on board and start doing things.
Absolutely, isn't it just? And I don't know if I said this before, but this has got nothing to do with anything, but I feel like you'd share my excitement. I'm almost at the point where my cat is completely biodegradable, not actually her.
I was like,
Most she is, but I don't want no. But Khaleesi the cat, I found a biodegradable litter,
amazing,
and biodegradable bin bags, and it all goes in the compost thing.
Amazing, great.
I'm so glad you said it was amazing. I'm really happy with myself.
Because pets, I just mapped my carbon footprint actually, and pets do make a difference if you've got a pet or if you haven't got a pet. Because I noticed, like me and a friend who got very similar lifestyles, his carbon footprint was higher just because of his little cat. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And also the cat litter is from sustainable recycled wood.
Oh, even better.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm literally living. I'm now fully embraced with this cat. 10 years she is, 10 years old. Like, you're all right to live it now. I love her. Anyway, by the by, I've got all of that hyperish. I'm just excited to have you back. So I've got that on my system now. For people that haven't listened to the other episode yet, who are you? Where do you come from? What do you do?
Yeah, hi, I'm Natalie. I'm a fashion retail and manufacturing expert. That's kind of how I title myself, I guess, with a particular interest in sustainability. So I used to be a fashion buyer. I was a fashion buyer for 15 years in the high street, really. So very much kind of fast fashion world. And I left that 3 years ago, and I just wanted to be a change in the industry. I wanted to work more sustainably, ethically, and help other businesses and brands do that as well. So yeah, I work freelance now as a buying and sustainability consultant, really, to lots of different brands, helping them launch and grow, still have sales, still be commercially relevant, but working ethically and sustainably.
Oh, amazing. What a powerful job to have, though. And I mean, I know, like in the last episode, we spoke about your journey through, that fast fashion and how you viewed it and what you've then gone on to help other businesses do. And a lot of the focus of the last episode was how, as individuals, we can be more sustainable with what we wear.
Yeah.
And I find it's very much, and after that, being that conversation we had about wearing the same outfit on my Instagram, I'm very conscious of that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's okay to, it's more in fashion to have less and see more different outfits and have favorite outfits, I suppose, isn't it?
That's kind of true style, when you know your style, and you kind of you wear the same things, maybe switch it up in different ways. I get more compliments when I wear the same outfit, I swear, than when I wear something new.
How funny, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's just was a really impactful episode, and I've invited you back on for us to talk about business
yeah,
sustainability. And as you know, I support a lot of small businesses within the Vivid Club membership and my coaching, but also on a practical level, I think that when you're a small business and maybe you haven't got that manufacturing process necessarily, it might be a kind of ideal, but well, how can I be? It doesn't really affect me. How can I be sustainable? So that's why I wanted you back on for us
yeah.
to have that amazing discussion. So from the beginning, when we're starting and we're working in our small business, what would you say is the first thing that we should be considering in being more sustainable?
So, gosh, it's such a minefield. People
I
always ask me
know.
where to start, and I'm like, it's such a big question. I think the first thing I try to say to people is just understanding what sustainability means, because I feel like it gets really diluted, it's quite confused, and I think once you understand what it means and you have that at the front of your mind, then every decision you make, you'll always automatically be kind of thinking in that direction. So I kind of explain sustainability to mean working in a socially responsible way with the lowest environmental impact. That's it. It's really straightforward. But I think a lot of people think sustainable means environmental only,
Yeah.
but it actually does mean socially responsible as well. So that means making sure everyone's paid a living wage, working in healthy, safe environments, no slave labor, no child labor, all of those things, but also low environmental impact. So doing the least harm on the environment is how I would sum it up in a nutshell if I was doing it, really quickly and simply. Because I think people get hung up on whether organic is better or whether recycled is better, and it's just like, if you just think, do the lowest environmental impact that you can, and apply that to what you're doing, because organic is right for some people, recycled is right for some people, depending on the materials they're using, depending on their type of business. Um, so actually, from the Hippocratic Oath that doctors take, they say first do no harm. And I
Yeah.
feel like when I think of the word sustainable, I just think first do no harm. No harm to people, no harm to planet. And we know that everything has a bit of an impact. So no harm is probably not completely, gosh, that word's just gone out of my,
Yeah. Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah.
It's not completely
Realistic. Yeah.
realistic. But yeah, if you think of that, first do no harm, no harm to people, no harm to planet, and start from there and do
Yeah.
the best you can.
Yeah. And I think but then, so say it for me, right? Oh my God, I love your mug.
Mm.
Oh my God, what's his
Believe
name?
in people.
Right, Ryan. What's his name?
Rob
Rob
Ryan,
Ryan. Yeah, I love
my
Rob
favourite
Ryan.
mug.
I love Rob Ryan so much. Oh my, and it's lilac as. Oh my God, I need that.
Yeah, lilac. I know I love lilac as
I
well.
love lilac. He's just bringing out like a little treasure box.
Oh
I don't know if
wow.
you've seen it, yeah, and it's got
No.
that the words when he's saying, "Oh, wouldn't you just come with me?" Oh, bug, I'm gonna have to send it to you because it's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And my little boy loves collecting little treasures, but puts them in
Oh,
like Tupperwares. So I thought, how
oh,
cute, and then he can look back when he's older. Anyway, love Rob Ryan.
amazing.
Massive fan of Rob Ryan. Anyway, what was I saying? So, for example, in my situation,
Yeah,
I I work from home in a little office at the bottom of the garden that we built. I was going to get a wood shed, but then I thought, oh, it's not going to be, can't really be insulated. So we've actually got a purpose built. It's insulated.
yeah,
So that was a good decision, was it? I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I was going to be going, was that okay? Because I didn't want to be sustainable.
No, that's good. It's insulated.
I like have my heat. I used to have this time last year. I'm so embarrassed to say this, but we had a consultation about getting solar panels, and this lady came around and she was like, "You are an excellent candidate for solar panels, but you are a high energy user." And I was like, "What? Us?
Okay.
What's
Yeah.
that about? That's ridiculous. Like I don't, blah blah blah." I always thought I was really good. But in that moment, I didn't know about, and obviously with the energy crisis now, people I think are more aware. But my water temperature was really high on my boiler. My
Yeah.
radiator water temperature was really high, and I thought this is so stupid. Now I think about it, I'm really, really embarrassed. So we got an energy efficient heater for down here. And I thought, well, because it's energy efficient, I can have it on 26 degrees
Right.
and it'll be fine. It will
Yeah.
hardly cost us anything.
Yeah.
What planet was it? I don't even know why I thought that. Anyway, that heater right in front of me is the reason why we were high energy users. But
Yeah.
and also the water temperatures. Anyway, I cut our fuel usage by half. So when all
Amazing.
the prices doubled, we pay no more than we were.
Yeah.
It's good. But anyway, so is working from home is obviously I don't drive anywhere
Yeah.
work, so that's
Yeah.
good as well. But I'm interested to know about little things that's the obvious, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
obviously trying to be as sustainable as I am, but what are the things that I might miss that that I don't realize make an impact on the environment?
Wow, that's such a good question because there's two parts, I suppose. When you're a business owner, there is your product or your service or and how much that's generating. And then there's also, yeah, your environment, all of those kind of things as well. So in terms of running the business and the product side, obviously it's things like materials, what materials are you using, all of those things. But yeah, such a good point about the kind of office space. I've recently become carbon literate. I'm just waiting for my certificate. And we actually did an exercise during my training, which was ranking different things. And one of the highest one was the hot water. It was, if
Right.
you haven't got your hot water tank insulated, then that's going to be making a huge difference.
Oh
Turning
wow.
your temperature down even by 1 degree makes a huge difference in emissions. But one thing that I haven't even cracked this myself, actually, I'll be honest, is website hosting, and the
Okay.
emissions created from website hosting and sending emails and storing emails.
Now, do you know that I was so glad you said this because I was thinking that when you're sort of aware that something makes an impact, but you
Yeah.
sort of haven't got the space to does it really make an impact, all of that stuff?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And there's some significant, things that you can do. Obviously, things like clearing your inbox continuously, something I'm really not very good at all because I always worry that someone's going to ask me for that email from 2 years ago. But you can set up your inbox so that it automatically just deletes emails so you don't get that feeling of you physically deleting
So
emails.
hold on, so clearing your inbox helps with emissions?
Yes, because
Oh my
essentially
god.
the internet is like, if you think of the internet as like a big room full of generators that are storing all this information, like it's not invisible, it's a real tangible thing, I suppose. So all of those big machines are creating huge emissions,
Oh my god,
huge
Natalie.
amounts of electricity. And the
What
more
about
you kind of load
photos?
onto it, yeah, absolutely, photos, videos, any kind of storage.
Oh my
I think
god.
the problem is we think of the cloud as a cloud, a literal cloud. And
Yeah.
it's not. It's a massive machine or a big building full of machines. And all of those machines are whirring away, using up electricity, generating heat, generating emissions. And when we talk about cryptocurrency, people talk about cryptocurrency
Yeah.
using so much energy. And actually, all our emails and all of those things, they run on the same kind of generator,
I
basically.
didn't know that they say
Terms.
cryptocurrency uses like loads of energy or
Yeah,
emission.
yeah, yeah.
I
It's
didn't
really,
know
but
that.
then also banking does too. So that's a whole other debate because people say, oh, cryptocurrency uses loads of energy because it's a digital currency, but the banking system obviously uses loads of energy as well because every transaction you do goes through a series of checks from your bank to someone else's bank, from your bank to a retailer. So all of the stuff that we do digitally is generating emissions. So that's yeah. If you can you can make some big changes really quickly, like changing your web hosting to a more environmentally friendly one, which is something I haven't done actually. So this is a good reminder to me.
Which ones are quite right? So I'm going to come back to this because I've now my mind is like my brain's hurting because
Already.
oh yeah, this is it's so good because I'm gonna I'm so embarrassed again about this because I'm so like conscious about being sustainable, but I have 40,000 photos on my phone, and most of them are in the cloud. And I have, I think it's 15,000 unread emails. That's ridiculous,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
you and me both, I've
Oh,
got
okay.
huge amounts of
I know,
images.
I know some people are thinking, oh my God, I turn the notifications off so I don't see the number. But I was quite actually this morning, I thought, well, what I'm going to do is just 5 minutes of unsubscribing and deleting stuff.
Yeah.
But like I literally open my emails. But the other thing as well, I have I think about 8 or 9 email addresses.
That which doesn't help because it's very hard to, regulate
No.
them. One of the things is setting your emails. Excuse me, I keep losing my voice. One of the things is to set your emails to auto delete after a certain number of days, things like that, so that you don't have to be on top of clearing it out and they're just automatically clearing. Um, that is, I'm absolutely just as bad. I've actually put a time in my diary to do some folder sort outs because I'm also terrible at having a copy of something on the cloud, a copy of something in a folder, on my computer, a copy
Yeah.
of something that I've emailed, so it's sitting in my inbox as well, in my sent items, taking up space. So that's 3 copies of one document.
Document.
um, Another suggestion actually is when you're emailing people, email them a link to the cloud. So it's a shared document that you both use. So then there's only ever one document rather than you're emailing it to them, they're
So
emailing it to
good.
somebody else, he's forwarding it to somebody else. And then that's however many copies of that document.
Wow, that's so good. So when I send the attachment about the podcast to people, I shouldn't. I should be
Yes,
sharing the link because everybody that comes on, like, they get a little info sheet.
yeah,
Literally, my mind's blown because I didn't realize, but I have 3 Google Drives,
yeah.
and on top of that, I have an iCloud drive, and I have a portable one. But right now, my laptop keeps whirring at me really loudly because the storage on my laptop is almost run out
Yeah.
because I record all of these podcasts and everything. But I haven't come to the point where I can delete what's on my laptop, even though this podcast right now, I'm going to have a YouTube. Once it goes onto YouTube, I don't need to keep the video.
Well,
Once
yeah.
it goes onto Anchor to be published, I don't need the actual audio. But why do I keep them? But then I'm just going to put them in the Google Drive, but they're on my laptop. Like, I literally have 3 or 4 copies. The photos of my artwork. Oh my God, the amount. And the amount of photos that are just, oh, and I bet WhatsApp uses loads as well.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. I'm trying to back up my WhatsApp at the moment and I can't because it keeps saying I haven't got enough storage. That's how much storage I'm using on my phone. It's one of those things that we probably just take for granted. That's definitely
Yeah.
one of the things I would say I'm most surprised about. Um, Most other things you hear about it all the time, I suppose. So switch your lights off. Leaving things on standby creates a lot of emissions as well. Yeah, anything that you're using around the house that's electric, taking shorter showers, that helps.
Mhm.
um yeah, there's quite a lot.
It's just that coming back to the emails, like, I feel that, like you say, it's not so. Again, it's naivety, but it's having this is why these kinds of conversations are so important, because people will be
Yeah.
listening to this and never ever thought about the fact that they've got an inbox full of emails. Like our mutual friend Bex, my beautiful Bex, who works for me, and I know you're going to be listening to this, Bex. She says she organises all my emails for the work, not my personal. That's where there's 15,000, my personal emails. Anyway, so that's the thing. I've got all of there's anyway. That's another whatever. So she thought they go into these automatic folders when emails comes in, ones that I don't see. And I said, well, they can be all deleted. And Beck said to me, no, I don't like to delete any emails so that
Mm.
I've always got something. But now we know that just keeping an email for the sake of it, I don't know why. I just thought they were just there on my computer, but they're not.
Yeah, no, they're
They're
not.
being stored somewhere else.
Yeah, they're all, and it's the emissions from sending as well. The bigger the email, the more emissions. So yeah, it's it's a shocker, and yeah, that's a good reminder to me, to be honest, because I've had a note to look at new web hosts for a while and I haven't done it. So
Is
it's
there
a
any
really
web
good.
hosts that you know are more carbon neutral
I've
or
been
getting there?
recommended, but off the top of my head, I can't remember. But I can definitely find them and send them to you because I need to do it. So
Because I'm considering moving one of my websites and I'm just about to build a new one.
yeah,
So um being aware of stuff like that would be interesting. I might it's but again, you just don't think about that as an element of something that you need to consider because
no,
it's always about waste. Like I've been very with Vivid Wire, that I've always been really good at using as much of the wire as I can, and
yeah,
because it's aluminium, it can be recycled. However, and this is something that I need to look into, I know that there's certain amounts of cut-offs of that aluminium that can't be recycled because it's not cost effective to recycle that piece of aluminium because it's too small or something like that. So I need to research what that is.
yeah,
That's something for me to do. But I've got boxes full of wire that I can then make into little key rings and stuff like that. But what I realized the other day is it's so good. I use my waste wire to make key rings, but actually I then have to buy key rings that come in a
yeah,
plastic box. Then there's emissions used to get those key rings to me.
yeah, yeah.
So is it even like is there any point in that? So there's like that. You see what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's very tricky, the waste thing to kind of weigh up. And I see, especially in fashion, businesses making bags because they've got waste fabric.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like, why have you got so much waste fabric? They're making a lot of bags. So then there's something wrong with the cutting process why they've got so much waste fabric, or there's
yeah,
something wrong with the ordering process. So it's going back to the beginning and minimizing first. But it sounds like you're doing that, in which case, you're doing the right thing. If you're minimizing first, and then you have got these small amounts, if there's nothing else you can do with it, then using it in purpose, using it into something purposeful. The other option though is collaboration. I think not enough businesses do, which is there a business that already makes key rings out of wires, and that's the core of their business, and is there some way that you can collaborate so you're passing on your
yeah.
waste? That also
That's a
helps
good
them
idea.
because they're using someone else's waste rather than buying new materials. They only need short amounts. They don't need to buy the long wires that you need.
No,
So is that another
that's
way
a good idea.
to work with someone else? But yes, I've just actually went to a circularity event yesterday, and it was just fascinating and eye-opening. Just thinking about the different ways of yeah, well, getting rid of your waste, keeping the things that you're using in the loop for longer, I think is the important thing.
Mm,
That's another thing that I think most businesses these days, people are talking about being socially responsible. They're thinking about their environmental impact to a certain level, like not using too much water or things like that. But yeah, waste and circularity is the next thing. So can people use your product for a really long time? And what do they do when they're finished with it? I've seen brands saying, oh, we don't, none of our product goes to landfill because they don't physically throw it away. But what does your customer do with your product if they've finished with it? That's the
so
question.
is so I'm correct. I might be being stupid asking this, but what do you mean by circularity? Is that just like the process of the life cycle of the products? Is
So
it or
circularity, to explain it, I suppose the normal model is linear. So you make a product and you sell it to someone,
right?
and then you forget about it. That's it. It's just a linear model. So someone makes it for you, you're the middle person, you sell it on to somebody else, and it's just a line.
Mm,
A circular model would be that you get the materials, you make something, you sell it to the person uses it. When they've finished with it, maybe they bring it back to you. You work out how it can be recycled and go back into making more products. So it's a circle. That's
right.
it is. So the traditional model of creating products is linear, and we want to get it to be a place where it's circular. And circular can mean different things. So it might mean the thing that you use goes back to the ground, so it's compostable. and then that
Yeah.
provides nutrients to the soil, and then that, using that soil, you can grow more of the yarn, of the product, whatever it is that you're making, and then that comes back to you. So it's not always recycling. It could be that something's biodegradable and it goes back to the ground that way. And but the idea is the resources stay in circulation. So
Mm.
it's never just you can kind of see the process of where these things are going rather than them just ending up dumped, basically ending up like landfill is usually the end of life for a product. So circularity means that nothing goes to landfill and it all goes back into the system in some way to be reused. um,
Mm.
and they can get really complicated, so it might not be you using your material. You pass the material, or your customer passes the material to someone else, and it actually gets downcycled. So for example, an old t-shirt, if it can't be recycled or if it can't be composted, might be shredded, and then it would go into the upholstery for a car. So car seats, they use like shredded old materials.
Oh,
Yeah,
amazing.
so it's not going back into the loop. But then now we'd be saying, well, what happens to that at the end of its life? It's still going to end up just dumped or incinerated usually. So the idea is that you recover it and it goes back into the loop.
That's such an interesting question to ask, actually, because I always say about my artwork, it's obviously art, so it can last a lifetime. Like it's more hard wearing than if you wanted words on your wall,
Yeah,
it's more hard wearing than a print, for example. But necessarily, it's not necessarily like it's in a frame or whatever. But I say it lasts a lifetime.
yeah,
However, some people change their mind. They've got different home decor. What are they getting when they change? What do they do with my product at the end?
yeah,
And
exactly.
whether or not maybe I can have like I finish with my Vivid Wire little group and they sort of can sell it on.
Yeah,
Maybe.
absolutely. You could set up, that's a really like quick win, is that you could set up even just a Facebook group or something where people could swap or people can sell to each other. But also these days you can make it part of your business model. If it's a big thing that that a lot of people, change their mind, or maybe they've got one for kids and their kids grow up, you should bring that back into your in-house for yourself, so your customer actually sends it back to you to resell, and you give them an incentive, say.
Yeah, I can swap it in. So yeah, if anyone's listening and they've got like, I'm just thinking about children's decor, you can send it back to me and I will honour the amount and make something new, I suppose, and then I'll sell that on to somebody else.
Can you remake?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So there's a massive incentive actually for you to get them back, because that's more materials for you.
Yeah. Well, there was
Uh,
one customer bought from me when I was right in the beginning of the business, and I wasn't as good as I am now, because obviously I'm great. But she messaged me and she said, "I've just moved, and the movers have ruined my wire words. Can I send them to you for you to fix them?" Because she still wanted them. So when they arrived back, I was embarrassed. I was like, "Oh God, it's not as finished as I do now." But I loved the opportunity to make, because I can then make them look really, really good. So I
yeah,
made them up, packaged them all beautifully again, sent them off, and now she's got an even better product. So if anyone's listening, they want me to do that. But actually, I can fix a lot, like a
that's
lot of stuff
perfect.
that, or reuse it. So yeah, that's good. I love that. So now it's like the challenge now of like, and if you're product based, how can you think about different ways that you can reuse or get your customers to send back so that it's
Yeah,
creating that cycle.
absolutely. And I think the thing is understanding what your customer is doing with their product. That's the
Mm.
most important part, because what works for you might not work for somebody else. Some businesses, they can't repair what they're sending out, or their customer does keep it for a lifetime. So it's working out what makes sense for your business. What does your customer want? I think the three main pillars of circularity are resell, repair, and then the other one is rental. So are there people out there who would like to engage with your business or your brand, but not on a permanent basis? So in your case, for example, does someone want a big wire slogan for a launch or something like that, or a pop-up shop? and therefore they don't want to actually buy it forever because it's just going to be, a 2 week.
Yeah.
So do you have a service whereby you can do that for them, and then they can send it back to you, and then you can reuse it to make something else, and actually add something to your business model as well as being a circular thing. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I love this.
That customer, they wouldn't have, either they'd have bought it from you and then it would have gone to waste, or they just wouldn't have bought it from you at all. They'd have gone, oh, well, we'll just get a poster printed because, that's easier and we can recycle it at the end. So actually add something to your business model, another offer that you can do.
I love that because some of my stuff was once used in a photo shoot, and then they just gifted it to somebody in the team.
Yeah.
But actually, it could have come back, and then I could have done something else with it. Well, I mean, they still used it, but yeah, that's really, really cool. I love this. I knew you'd come back and it'd be like, I'm so passionate about it. Like, I'm so interested in it. Like, I think we said last time, I get such a buzz from the fact that we've reduced our waste to landfill by I think it's like 2/3 in the last few months. We compost all of not our own compost, but we're really lucky with our local authority that they do a food and garden waste bin, and they give it to you. They pick it up every week. As well as recycling every week. So it's so easy for our local authority. And I know not everybody has that, but those kinds of things, if there's the opportunity there, and also, I'm such a geek with this, but I'm sure, well, you are as well, so that's okay. I've been all of the way. So Aldi, I do a lot of food shopping at Aldi because it's just so easy for me to go in and out. But they've changed all their packaging recently, so it's the ones that you can recycle back in store. So even though I am moving towards making sure that all of my fruit and veg are coming from locally sourced, but the local Aldi gets their fruit and veg where they can from Kent, where I live.
Amazing.
So
yeah,
obviously the carbon emissions of it traveling there, it is obviously still covered in plastic, but that plastic is recyclable in the store. So I collect it all up, take it back, get it recycled. So I'm nearly there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's step by step, isn't it? Processes, obviously, like things like that. I do buy veg in plastic sometimes as well, and that's mostly because I live on my own. And sometimes if I need to buy something, I don't know, if I want to make a stir fry or something like that, I'm less likely to waste food if I buy a pack it's 2 meals and that's it. If I buy all of the separate ingredients, I'm more likely to throw food out at the end of the week. Now, sometimes I weigh up that balance. I'm like, this isn't right, but it's very tricky to weigh it up. And I think you kind of have to play around and try and, I think the consistency, I suppose, is the important thing. It's, what will you consistently do? And then also, like for me, I'm trying not to waste food at the moment because I saw myself wasting so much food. Now that I'm in a better position, I'm kind of like, okay, now let's try and eliminate the plastic again and try and work out how I can,
and
again,
it's doing it in stages, isn't it? Because we're moving through that. The next stage, and my husband's equally as passionate about. I don't know if he's enthusiastic, but he is quite passionate about it. But we are like, right, okay, the next step is we're going to start going to the farmers market. Like there's and buy from local that is right around the corner, and so it's organic and etc. etc. We're going to start. That's our next phase. But right now I'm training him to do cupboard cleanses, which he's not really 100% on board with, because we both work really, really hard, and at the end of the day he doesn't want to eat some weird meal that I've created out of some tins at the back of the cupboard. But I'm like, but the impact it has on everything, like our budget, it's not that we're hard up at the moment, thank the Lord or whatever. I'm really grateful. But I love doing a cupboard cleanse because it's like, it makes me feel really creative. So it's such a weird dinner, but I was cooking tonight. I found some black pudding. He's from the Midlands, so black pudding is basically a staple of anybody that's born in the West Midlands. He got black pudding. I've got some cod frozen in the fridge. Again, I don't even know if that's it's from a sustainable source. But anyway, and then we're gonna have, like, once we went out and had scallops with black pudding as like a really posh meal. So I was like, well,
Oh,
that's the same as cod and black pudding, isn't it?
yeah.
I said it to him. I was like, I found this black pudding. Should we just see if that goes for dinner? And he
Yeah.
was like, well, it's black pudding. Of course I'm going to eat it. But it makes me feel creative. Like,
Yeah.
and like last night I cooked a cauliflower and chickpea curry and
Yeah.
literally used a whole bag of
That's
cauliflower.
everything you've got.
But
Yeah.
everything, but that kind of, and I feel like that's where I am with the business as well. I look at all of my resources and I think, right, how can I use this effectively? Exactly the same with my wire. Like I might have lots of wire in one color. I will find a designer or make a kit out of what I have already without buying more. Just even if my design in my head is like, oh, I need these colors, I will change the design. I will design something from what I have instead of what I want. And
Yeah.
it just, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's not as fulfilling, sometimes, to be honest. But then if I manage to make something out of like design something that's out of something that's just going to sit in a cupboard otherwise, I'm like, that's pretty good. Because I've
Oh,
not
yeah.
only saved money, but I've also used something that's given it life.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's true. It's about challenging yourself, and that sometimes helps you to develop better habits as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you think I'm a bit of a weirdo? How excited I get when we chat.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm exactly like that.
Oh, okay,
I'm
cool.
just so, I signed myself up for carbon literacy training, not only really because it helps me with my work, but because I'm just a geek about it and I want to know, you
Yeah.
know, all the ins and outs and the science and the background. And now that I've measured my carbon footprint, I'm now like, right, got to eliminate the plastic, eliminate the vegetables that come from far away, start eating seasonal again. And yeah, it's almost like you have to gamify it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got that personality, then it works.
Yeah. I feel like I need to print out like vegetables and fruit in season and laminate it in my kitchen so
Yeah,
that I'm constant, like, well, it's March, so what's in, well, basically nothing in this country. This is the thing though, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
what
It
is
is hard, but it does exist. It's more, there's more in season than you realize. I think we're conditioned to think that you have to eat like tomatoes all year round, and you don't. So
Yeah.
when I lived in Australia, everything was seasonal and was reflected in the price. So you would go to the supermarket and say, I actually can't afford to buy tomatoes because they're so expensive. And you would, I remember eating spring onions consistently for about 3 months because they were seasonal, and they would do like, they do the little supermarket magazine, and they put
Yeah.
loads of recipes in there for, whatever was in season. So you'd start being like, oh yeah, like, loads of spring onion stir fries and
Love
um,
that.
you
Right.
read.
Honestly, inspired me so much today. I'm just going to be just making a note to print out and laminate my seasonal veg.
Yeah, well, if
Fruit.
you haven't already, I definitely recommend mapping your carbon footprint, because then it will give you some like really tangible goals. I just did mine actually, and my new goal is to reduce meat from my diet right back to almost zero again. I used to eat like that years ago, and then pandemic, everything changed. But when you can actually see the carbon saving, wow, it's like just me. If everybody did that, from going from eating everything to mainly vegetables, or going vegetarian, or going vegan, it's a big saving. But there's
Wow.
lots of other things as well.
This is amazing. Honestly, I'm so geek out so much. I could chat to you all day about this. I really
I
could.
bet.
Um, so the last time you were on, I asked you the 10-year question, so I can't ask you that now, but I've just thought
No.
of another question to ask
Oh,
instead.
yeah.
So, and obviously I'm putting you on the spot because you weren't prepared for this. But if you had no fear, what would you do next?
No idea.
Sorry,
Oh my gosh.
it
With
can
my
be
career or
anything.
with my
Yeah, let's
life?
do your career. Let's do
My
your career.
career. Oh my goodness. If I had no fear, what would I do? That's a really good question. I think I think I do what I'm doing, but I just attack it probably a bit more. um, I think, yeah, I think I'd probably be putting myself forward for more things.
Yeah,
I'd say at the moment I'm very much um, like I'm getting a lot of opportunities, so it's great. But there's definitely part of me that there's things I want to do. Like I'd love to write a book, and I really enjoy speaking, and I'd love to be writing more, like writing for publications and things like that. And yeah, I think I'm kind of like waiting for someone to ask me to write an article rather than just pitching an article. So yeah, I think that's what I do.
I love
Yeah,
that.
writing, and yeah, I'd probably say, yeah, I'm going to write a book.
Good. Yeah, brilliant. I've literally it's podcast day today. I've been block recording, and my last guest has just written a book, and we had a whole conversation about that because I'm writing a book, but it's getting to that point of like
Yeah.
actually writing the book. But you just have to say I'm writing a book and then start.
And
And
then
then
just
you're
start
like,
writing the book.
I'm writing the book. But then you have to like, I've done it a million times, but it's just having the idea and just 1% factor. But I love that. Do you know what? Currently in my, I suppose, my job and business and everything, I'm constantly asking myself and my clients, if you weren't scared, there was no fear, what would you do? And it changes how I show up for things.
Yeah, it
Like,
does.
well, do you know what? I'm just going to shelve that fear. I'm going to recognize it's there and just quite a powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I started doing that in January because in January I feel like I didn't do dry January, but I did very low alcohol January and just tried to kind of devote it to being fearless and working on my business, which I did. And then in February, when opportunities started to come in, I was like, oh yeah, I feel a bit comfortable now. Went back into my comfort zone.
Yeah,
So that was a good reminder to me that I need to pop back out of the comfort zone and keep pushing.
yeah, that's good. Do you know I'm currently sober and I have been not drinking now. I think it's like 50 days coming up,
Wow. I'm so
maybe just
impressed.
under. I'm going to 100 and then I'm going to consider what I'm going to do.
Wow, I'm so
Yeah.
impressed.
And it's well, I did it from August and to October and I did 55 days.
Yeah,
But I had like an end goal and I was like, right, I'm going to get to that point and then I'm going to have a drink.
yeah.
Whereas now I'm like, do you know what? Because I make lots more money when I'm sober, when I'm not drinking,
This is the
loads more money.
thing. Yeah.
And so I had my best month in business in January and I wasn't drinking. I had a really good month in September when I wasn't drinking. And so I'm like, well, maybe if I just see what happens. And it's just an experiment right now. So to the to 11th of April, I think is 100 days. So I'm going to get to that and then see how I feel because if I start drinking again, and obviously this is just me, my husband was like, oh, you're going to start lecturing me about what I drink. I'm like, no, because I'm just bothered about what's in my glass. But if
Yeah.
I do start drinking again, I think it will be because I'm scared that people will think I'm not fun anymore. And that's the thing of that question of like, what would I do if I wasn't scared?
Yeah,
And I'm also
absolutely.
scared of people going, what, are you an alcoholic then? Or
Oh,
were? Do you know what I mean? Or are you pregnant? I've had that as well. Oh, are you pregnant?
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. But it's just no, I just make more money. That's
Well,
why.
and this is the thing, I was far more focused and far less fearful because I do think drinking
Yeah.
induces anxiety if you're already
Yeah.
prone to anxiety. So, yeah, I think I need to do that too.
But also, the other reason to do it is like you were saying about comfort zone, it
Yeah,
keeps me that tiny bit uncomfortable all of the time.
yeah,
So because
yeah,
I'm already there, to
yeah.
push myself into a bit more discomfort is not as hard.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well because you don't get that kind of, oh, I'm a bit stressed. I'll have a drink and just kind of push the stress away. You have to deal with the stress.
Oh, yeah, you have to feel the feelings. Oh my God. And
Yeah,
that is the toughest thing. Like the other day, I had a really challenging day. I can't even remember what it was. See, I can't even remember. So I wouldn't, I'm like, God, I could do with a drink. I could really do with a drink. And it was recognizing, go, why do I want to have a drink? I want to have a drink to not feel like this. But
yeah,
it's a feeling that I actually need to feel and processed it. And I felt it. I probably had a cry actually, but I do healthier things. Like normally
yeah,
I wouldn't have a cry, but maybe I needed to. So I just had a little cry. Or I would make myself go and have some time on my own. I might meditate or I'd go for a walk or,
yeah,
stuff like that. And it's like being aware of all of these other things that I used to do to push feelings down instead of actually just feeling the feelings, and that's uncomfortable. So it's just, yeah, it's quite powerful. But I mean, it is like a challenging thing to do, but for me it gives me a bit of an edge, and I like that edge at the minute.
Yeah, no, that's great stuff. That's reminded me of I at the end of January, I kind of went, this is great. I'm really enjoying it. I need to continue this, and I'm going to go back to drinking maybe a bit more, but I'm going to have a bit more, limitations around it and things. And then it's a slippery slope. And next minute, yeah. So actually, that's been another good reminder for me.
It's like different cycles. Like I went to, I couldn't have done Christmas this time, but maybe like next year. But then I'm going away in about 3 weeks. It's going to be the first time I'm away. And also before that, the week before, I'm going away with my girls. And to not have a drink while I'm away with them will be, not that they won't make me drink, they won't make me feel bad or anything, but it's just, that's what we do. We drink wine and gin, and we watch Sex in the City, and that's what we've done since we've been at university. So it's like, that it's just going to be different.
How will it feel? Yeah.
But that's nice. That's a nice little ending.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nat, for being on. Really appreciate it. I'll put all of your details again in the show notes and link up to the last episode. And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Great to chat to you again.
You're very welcome. I'll speak to you soon.
Right then. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother Phil Vitt.